the label that I work for, RCA, we've got meetings in New York coming up next week. So I'm going to be out in New York, and I could actually take this record that is becoming a priority for Maverick Records, and I could actually play it for Hot 97 if you want. He said, well, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But really what I want is for you to meet with Madonna.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. That's going to happen. Yeah, right. Go to New York. Our whole staff at RCA is, we're at the Macklowe Hotel, and we're just drinking up a storm in the hotel bar. And that's what labels do. That's what staffs do. They get together and they drink it up and they party up and they have a great time. And then they all go to their meetings hungover.
that doesn't sound terrible at all.
And I get back into my room like at 3 a.m. and there's a message on my voicemail from Freddie DeMann's assistant saying, Terry, calling from Freddie's office, you have a meeting with Madonna at 11 a.m. at such and such and such Central Park West. And I hang up the phone and I'm like, oh. I'm like, Jesus, man. I mean, I'm like, I better, be alert and awake and whatever. So I go to sleep and I wake up, sorely hungover. It's about 110 degrees outside. It's an August day in New York City. The humidity is crazy. You could cut it with a knife. And I go to her apartment at Central Park West, and I don't know, a 30-minute meeting turned into 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And it turned into... I have to be careful how I say this. I wanted to blurt out. She almost instantly became horizontal. And when you talk about Madonna, you got to be careful when you say something like that. I became her psych because she's interviewing me and asking me questions. The conversation just evolved into her being stressed out about the pressure that Warner Brothers was putting on her to get her next record out, because I got to get my, and this is a quote, I got to get my fucking record out before Michael fucking Jackson. Those two artists and Prince those three artists were on top.
Yeah.
And they were competitive. Even though Prince was a Warner Brothers artist, Michael was an artist with a competitive company called Sony.
Yeah.
Epic Records. They were putting the pressure on her. And in those days, Babyface was producing the record, and he's in Atlanta, she's in New York, and they had to physically use airmail to send the recording parts from Atlanta to Madonna to Sound Factory Studios in New York.
Wow.
No emailing
Right.
MP3 files or WAV files or anything like that. And she was frustrated because Babyface would tell her, you'll have it tomorrow. And tomorrow meant 7 days later.
Yeah.
And then finally she looked at her watch and she says, okay, you have to go now. I mean, I've got so many people. I have so many other meetings that are backed up and all that. And I said, great. And Freddie called me that night and said, man, Madonna really likes you a lot, and let's do this.